Guys, coming at you today with a delicious keto chocolate truffle recipe. I made it chocolate hazelnut, aka a Ferrero Rocher. So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alicia and I'm a sous chef with a sweet tooth. And here we make delicious keto pastries from my time as a pastry chef. And my goal is to make the best keto pastries possible. If you enjoy this content, please consider hitting the subscribe button down there. I come at you every Saturday with a new keto dessert. Let's get started on these truffles. So I took this recipe straight out of my pastry book from college, and it's a really simple recipe and you can make so many alterations to it. Like I literally just took the measurements of heavy cream to chocolate and added my own stuff and of course made it keto. Well, I made my own chocolate hazelnut spread. It's completely optional. I also own the Perfect Keto chocolate hazelnut nut butter, and this would work perfectly fine in here. You only need 3 tablespoons. I found an awesome deal on Amazon. 3 pounds of blanched roasted hazelnuts, and this whole 3-pound bag was $28.99. And even cheaper than macadamia nuts, and they have the same carb count. I'm like, why don't I just get a big bag? Because that was the best price I could find, and I made my own chocolate hazelnut spread, which is actually really simple. That recipe is going to be down below. I'm not going to show you the process. You just grind up hazelnuts, add melted dark chocolate, and then whatever sweetener you like. Now, I realize why most products are sweetened with several different keto sweeteners, and it's because none of them taste the best, but when you put them in small amounts into things, they're better. So like when I first tried it, I did all liquid stevia and it had like a weird chemical taste. So I just cut it with some powdered monk fruit sweetener and it was perfect. So that recipe is down below. Ferrero Rochers are made with milk chocolate. So I have 4 ounces of Lily's milk chocolate here. I'm gonna add 1.5 ounces of my chocolate hazelnut spread. Click on our heavy cream here. You want it just simmering around the edges. And then you're gonna pour it over your chocolate and hazelnut. An important step here is to cover with a lid slightly and let it sit for a minute. If you start stirring too early, all the chocolate chips aren't gonna melt. It's fine if that happens. You have to just pop it in the microwave on very low power, just 20 seconds if that, to just give it a little blast of heat to get it to all melt together. This burner is insane, like crapola. So you just want it steaming and boiling around the edges, which it's already doing. Crazy, that took like 2 seconds. Make sure it's all hot. I always worry that the edges are just hot and the middle's not. So just give it a little swirl. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna pour it over and try to get all the chocolate chips submerged in the hot cream. Then we're gonna let this sit for a minute. Another tip, if you do decide to make the chocolate hazelnut spread, I tried it in my food processor, but because there's only 1 cup of hazelnuts, it didn't really work. But this little Ninja food processor worked great for it. So just keep that in mind. If you want to make a small batch, you want to use like a small food processor or a blender, like a Ninja blender would work really well. Hey, it's been about a minute, I think. So we're just gonna give this a whisk and slowly incorporate the heavy cream. Basically, if you've seen my other videos with ganache, I'll link my last one up there. It's the same concept, only you're just making it much thicker. Just heavy cream and chocolate. And we add a little bit of butter to make it silky smooth. See, we're all melted. That's what we want. Make sure you scrape the bottom and the sides because sometimes our Lily's chips get stuck. You can use any brand of keto chips you want too, and any flavor. I might do a salted caramel one soon with the Lily salted caramel chips. That sounds delicious. Okay, so once it's all incorporated like that, super thick and fudgy looking, add in your 1 tablespoon of butter, room temperature, because otherwise it would take too long to melt and cool down your filling too much. Just mix until it's all melted. Okay, that looks good. Now this has to refrigerate and get completely solid and set up before we work with it. It's gonna make it much easier to work with, so definitely don't skimp on the time that you cool it. I did try scooping it only like an hour after I put it in the refrigerator, and it was kind of melty. So you definitely want this set completely solid before you try and mold it into our truffles. Hey, I did a bunch of experimenting yesterday, so I already have a batch made up. I'm gonna have a lot of truffles. This makes about 18 truffles. I already have 18 done, another 18 here, and then I just made another batch. So I'm gonna have a lot of truffles that are gonna be going to friends and family after this. I'm just reusing my pan with parchment that I've been experimenting on this whole time. Nothing wrong with it. And I have 18 hazelnuts already pulled out here that are gonna go in the center of these. And then there's two options, ice cream scoop or a tablespoon measuring spoon. I'll do one with the scoop. You don't wanna fill it all the way. You wanna make a nice divot in the middle and then put your hazelnut in it, squish it in a little bit, pop it out of there, and form it around your hazelnut. There you go. And then you give it a good roll in your hands. That's it. There is your hazelnut truffle filling. That's one down. 17 more to go. And one with the tablespoon measure. I actually think it works a little bit better with the tablespoon because it slides out real good. Form it around the entire tablespoon. Make sure you got a little divot in there. Push your hazelnut in, like that. And then slide it out, just like that. And form it around it. There you go. Give it a good roll. There's your little truffle. And you get 18 out of this batch. They're 1.2 grams of net carbs if you use all the same ingredients I'm using. And that's with the homemade hazelnut butter, which I'm not sure what the net carb difference is on Perfect Ketos, but I can figure that out. Okay, just finishing up my 18th one. Magica TV, almost done. Or is it YouTube TV? I don't know. But I got exactly 18. And it gets a lot easier when it gets a little bit warmer, but then it also creates problems like mushing too much. Work with it what you can. There you go. Last guy. Now, to add some more crunch to these and more hazelnut, we're gonna chop up some hazelnuts and roll them in there. So I'm gonna use my blender here. I'm gonna do a half cup. You only are gonna need about a quarter cup to roll all these. I love this thing. It works great. I got it for like 25 bucks at Walmart years ago, and it comes with like a big blender too. It works so fast. So I'm just gonna pour some of this out on a plate or whatever you want to use, it doesn't matter. Then we're just gonna roll these guys in the nut and then roll them in your hands to get all the excess off and to squish in the hazelnuts into your truffle. If you want to add more, you can. Mix it in. Not all of it sticks. That's it. We're gonna be dunking all these in chocolate anyway, so it doesn't matter how they look. They're just gonna taste delicious. We're just gonna roll all these guys and then we'll be back to coat them all in some chocolate. Okay, pop those in the fridge for a while we melt our chocolate. Now, a little bit about this chocolate. See down in the recipe, I chose semi-sweet chocolate chips because they have no carbs in them, unlike the milk chocolate by Lily's has 1 gram of net carbs per serving, which is only like 30 chips, so you end up using a lot. I just do semi-sweet and I sweeten it with a little bit more stevia, and that works for me. You guys can do whatever you'd like. So I got about 6 ounces of chocolate chips here. This should be enough to coat all of our truffles. And I have a little bit of coconut oil in there to help melt the chips a little bit. Don't have to heat it up to too high of a temperature. That way we don't have to do tempering, hopefully, if we do it right. So I literally do 50% power, 30-second intervals, and as soon as it starts melting, I take it out and stir it and see if the residual heat that's in there will melt the rest of the chips before I continue heating it. I literally stop it before 30 seconds most of the time just to give it a stir. You don't want it above like 95. If all the chocolate chips are melted and you're at 95, you gotta temper your chocolate. If you want a really nice hard crack on your chocolate and you want it not to have that white coating on the outside, after only about a minute, it started melting. So I'm not gonna go too much longer. Doesn't need to be too much hotter. We're already at 86. So the perfect working temperature is about 86 degrees. So we're right there. We're just not melted all the way. So I'm just gonna put it in for a little bit longer, get a little bit more heat, and then hopefully it won't go too high and we'll have chips left that will melt in it. We're only at 87, so that was only 10 more seconds. Another 10. See? It's almost all melted. Might have went too high. Only 10 seconds. See, all the chips are still melting. That means there's residual heat there. It'll bring this down to temperature. 91. Might have to add a couple more chips. A little too high. Let's add like maybe 6 chips. Give it a stir until it comes down to 86 degrees. That's it. Like I said, this is optional, but it'll make your truffles look really pretty. I'm going to put a couple of drops of my liquid stevia in there because I just wanted a little bit more sweet. This is all up to you. That was like 4 or 5 drops probably. We're at 86, just where we want it. Now you can use just a piece of parchment paper, which is easier in my opinion. You can also use a wire rack and put them on that. You won't get the feet, but a lot of times they stick to the rack and you lose the bottom chunk of chocolate. So once they've been chilling, I got them out here. You just want them kind of cold, not super cold. Swirl them around in the chocolate. Try to balance them on your fork. and give taps to get all the excess chocolate off. I usually wipe the bottom of my fork, flop it onto my sheet tray. And then I take wherever my fork tongs were, cover that up a little bit, and that's it. You can also do it where you drop it on upside down, and then you make your cute little design on top. You do like the swirls, like that. Make it a little bit more fancy looking. Or you could just sprinkle some hazelnuts on top, get a little pretty. And the macros on these depend on how much chocolate you end up using. I put 6 to 8 ounces in the recipe. It's always easier to dunk in a lot of chocolate than it is to dunk in just a tiny bit of chocolate. So you definitely want more than you need. And that's why I suggest weighing all your ingredients out, because then afterwards you can weigh how much chocolate's left. That way you know exactly how much you used for your truffles and you can figure out your macros that way. Sometimes you get little air bubbles you want to pop. Okay, when you get down to the end, it's going to be a little bit harder to coat. You're going to have to whack it even harder because your chocolate is getting a bit more cool than it should be. You can always try blasting it again in the microwave, but just, like I said, be careful. You can usually power through, though. Okay, our last one. Looks like just enough chocolate. Got a little messy here. There you go. Our 18 Ferrero Rochers. Can't wait to dig my teeth into some of these. They do gotta chill for a while, but they are best, I think, at room temperature. But they're good in the refrigerator. They'd probably be really good in the freezer too, which I have not tried that. So if you guys try that, let me know in the comments if it's really good. I might try it myself too. We'll be back in a little bit to try some of these guys. Okay, here's my beautiful plate of Ferrero Rocher knockoffs. Look pretty. And I picked this guy out. He was like the prettiest of them all. I'm gonna cut this guy open for you guys. See the inside. Looks just like a Ferrero Rocher to me. Time to try them. Room temperature. They're like super soft and creamy. Chocolate hazelnut flavors, delicious. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer your Ferrero Rochers in the refrigerator, room temperature, or even in the freezer. So good. Definitely gonna be making a lot of these truffles in different flavors and videos. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the thumbs up, sharing with your friends, or making these perfect Valentine's Day gift for your keto boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever. Great idea for that. I'll be back with many more keto dessert recipes. Bye guys.